Movies and Martinis celebrates women and diversity in the entertainment world
by ranking trending movies, shows, and books
with two completely different perspectives and ranked by delicious martinis.
Listen to find out how many martinis we felt it was worth.
And learn about the women who have written, performed, and/or directed in everything we have rated.
A new episode is available every Thursday on your favorite podcast platform and YouTube. What's up, everyone? Welcome to our podcast. I'm Priya.
And I'm Mercy. Welcome, everybody. Hey, Priya, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Cheers. Stanley, cheers. I don't know. We
Stanley,
went from
cheers.
martinis to Stanley and kind of stuck with that.
I know. Like, what happened? We might have a martini in here.
Oh.
I don't have any olives, though.
I had an incredible martini last night.
You did?
Yes, with a fresh blue cheese. It was...
What?
Oh, my olives were stuffed with blue cheese.
Oh, inside of the alcohol?
Inside of the olives.
Ooh, no, I mean the olives. In the olives, inside of the drink.
Yes, the olives with the blue cheese in the martini. It was delicious.
Ooh, that sounds so good.
Yes, yum.
Okay, so today, guys, we are celebrating, talking about one of the biggest movies out this year, One Love, the Bob Marley story. And I freaking loved it. Right up
Yes.
I freaking loved it.
Yes. So total spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it yet, because we would love for you to watch it, because I believe that both Priya and I loved it. You loved it, right, Priya?
Yeah.
Oh,
I just said I loved it. I freaking loved it.
I'm glad. Okay. So yeah, I absolutely loved it too. So it's something that we highly recommend if you haven't watched it. It did get 42 Rotten Tomatoes, which is kind of odd.
Yeah, I was just like, what the heck?
Okay, so let me tell you my theory on that.
Okay.
I feel that if you know Bob Marley or Bob Marley music or reggae music or any of those things, that you would really appreciate and love this movie.
Yeah.
But if you're not a reggae fan, you don't really like his music or you don't know who he is, I think the story is kind of irrelevant to you.
Well, I think
it's a great story.
I think if you don't know who he is, something's wrong with you. Because I think because he's like just as recognizable as Michael Jackson or the Pope or whatever. People know who he is.
People know the name, but that's all they may know.
True.
Don't take it for granted that they know anything other than the name. And it's great music to play when you're at the beach or hanging out or partying and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That might be all they know. And I believe if that's the case, that I could see where people would get bored with the story, because it's not a fast-paced story. It's slow. And it goes at a smooth pace. I mean, I loved every minute of it, and I think it was beautifully told. But I could see, because I happened to go with a friend who had heard of Bob Marley and had heard some of the songs, but she sat with me and she was kind of like,
really?
Yeah. So I could see where there wasn't a connection. I knew of Bob Marley. I loved Bob Marley. Of course, I'm from the island. I lived in New York. I lived in Puerto Rico. I also had some of his kids with my daughters in school in Miami.
Yeah.
So I knew a lot about Bob Marley, and I was interested in his.
Wait. Who edited this podcast episode? It's getting so good. So good that I need to give a shout out to our sponsor, Blue Box Media, an NYC-based video production firm. Blue Box Media makes our movies and martinis dreams come true every Thursday by editing every episode. Check them out at blueboxllc.com. And okay, let's get back to those martinis.
Story, and I knew he was all about love. I just knew that's who he was. And when you know him and you know his music and you know the lyrics and the message, I think the movie means so much. So that's my take on it. What do you think?
I could see. So the story starts, it doesn't start from like his birth or anything. There's like a lot of flashbacks when he's little on, because he's half white. And there's a lot of flashbacks about his doubt about his white father.
Right.
And him growing up and meeting his wife Rita Marley. There's a lot of stuff like that, but it starts like just when he was starting to blow up. The music and his band with the Wailers was starting to blow up, and then it goes straight into when he's shot for the first
Right.
time in his residence in
Concert.
Jamaica.
Right,
Mhm.
right before the big
Yeah.
concert.
So if you don't know his story, you might be like, oh, what's happening right now?
Right.
You know, I personally, I mean, obviously my husband is Jamaican. He was born, grew up in Jamaica, and my children are half Jamaican. So this is a big part of my life. Like I
Right.
know about Bob Marley. And in addition to that, I did in college, I did a thesis on religion, and it included Rastafarianism. And I must have watched his documentary over and over and over again when it was out in VHS.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So
So tell us a little bit about it for those that don't know anything about
the
that.
documentary.
No, about his religion and his beliefs.
So he believes in Rastafarianism, which is rooted in Ethiopia. Their prophet is Haile Selassie. And Haile Selassie believed in love and in community and embracing one another. And because a lot of religions and ways of life in the Caribbean are rooted in African beliefs, just like other things like voodoo and all those things, it was brought over to the islands and is very much rooted in Africa, So his experience with Rastafarianism came through his wife, Rita. Rita introduced him to it, and he had a mentor growing up. He did a lot of just like going to church, you pray, you have services, you worship Jah, the God Almighty. And we really pay homage to all these beliefs of, again, one love, and loving one another and a peaceful life. And a big part of it is the herb. Now in the interviews, when you watch his oldest son, Ziggy Marley, talking about the movie, because he was very involved in it, and the family signed off on this movie, so which was great. In the interviews, he said that he was very purposeful in making sure that the scenes with them smoking herb during the religious ceremonies was not gimmicky. Like, how people are like smoking weed, like, oh, I'm just hitting a bud or whatever. It was really rooted in the spirituality, and he wanted it to come off that way. And I really do feel like it came off that way on the screen. It was just a natural way of life. People were always smoking it. Bob was always smoking it. And it was much more than just getting high.
Right.
It
Right.
was a part of the religion.
It was
and
ceremonial.
Very
Mhm.
ceremonial. Yeah. So
And
go ahead.
I love that. And I caught how there's no I or me or you
Yes.
or they.
Mhm.
It's kind of everyone is one.
I and I.
Yes. So I thought it's just
Mhm.
beautiful. It had such a beautiful message.
Mhm.
And did you cry at the end?
So I did well up a lot, because there are some parts I was just like, oh damn, this is so beautiful. I had goosebumps, and just, sitting, my husband went with me to watch it, of course, and there was like maybe 3 other people in the movie theater here in New York City.
That's a lot. There was nobody in our theater. It was just me.
Well, we went on like a Monday or Tuesday, I think.
I love that it came out on Valentine's Day. So beautiful, right?
Yeah, we went on my birthday. That's the day we went. We went on my birthday. So it was nice sitting next to him and experiencing it with him, because I just kept on thinking about him and the way Wade grew up. And whenever Wade's walking through the streets, because he has dreads now, like people are always stopping him, like, "Ja bless up." I can't say it right and totally messing it up.
He'd have to be on the interview.
Yeah, exactly. But his and Jaden too. Jaden gets it a lot. Jaden, I was telling him that he looks like the actor who played Bob Marley,
who's beautiful,
Kingsley Ben-Adir.
Right. Which, by the way, keynote on that, a little footnote on that. So I watched an interview. If anybody wants to watch the interview, it was on Sunday morning on CBS. And they interviewed him. And the interview is, I want to say, the same caliber as the movie. It was excellent because he goes so in depth. But Kingsley is actually, I believe, English. So he had to not only get rid of his accent, but learn this new language and how to speak it and how to understand it when Bob's children were talking to him.
Yep.
And when he was on the island. So it was hard, but he did it.
He did a phenomenal job. Like I didn't feel for 1 second that he was faking it.
Yes.
He did such a great job. He went
deep into it. And so he had kind of a hard time with his family because Bob Marley was 5'6" and Kingsley is 6'2". So for Kingsley to look as thin as Bob Marley was, it was very unhealthy. And so the family were giving him a hard time about, like, you look really sick. This is not healthy. You're like, you need to stop. He's like, no, I gotta be in character. I have
for the art.
I can't do the dance and the moves, and I can't do everything if I'm not, that weight. So he had a lot of challenges, but I think he stepped up to the plate.
He did a great job.
He did a beautiful job representing him.
He did a great job. I mean, the actors are great. So Rita Marley was played by Lashana Lynch, who was in Woman King.
Yes.
And Marvel. And she was fantastic.
Yes, she was. Fantastic. And then Kingsley, if you want to see him in a different light, was also in Barbie. So little side note there again, he was in Barbie. So that was pretty cool. But I would ask you, Priya, how many martinis would you give it?
Oh, 5. Hands down, I'll give it 5. Yeah,
I give it 5.
I had an emotional reaction. I just I felt a connection because it's part of my life, and history. So I loved it.
I loved it too. I highly recommend it. I think everybody should watch it.
Definitely watch it.
Listen to some of his music before you watch it if you're not really familiar with him, and listen to some lyrics. They're very moving.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. Make sure you like, share, follow, check out One Love. It's in theaters. Hopefully it'll be streaming soon at some point.
I think it will.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah, we'll see you later, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.